Hey everyone, welcome back. Rock Reviews, episode 2. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, mostly because I've been too lazy to do it. But that's neither here or there. Welcome to episode 2. I'm a little late on the draw for this episode, but it is Witches by One Eyed Doll. This album, woo buddy. Let's just cut to the chase and get started. So basically what I do on Rock Reviews is I tell you about an album that was recently released by a band or artist, and I give you my opinion on the album, a little backstory behind the band itself, and I give you my opinion on whether or not you should buy it. So let's just get right to it. So One Eyed Doll is a two-person band straight out of Austin, Texas, and they are a band that's been around since, if I'm not mistaken, 2007. They consist of two members, Junior on the drums, and Kimberly, who does guitar and vocals in the band. And throughout their history, they've done a lot of songs that are really weird and quirky and fun and funny, which is fine. That's great. I have no issue with that. And they do have their songs that are completely serious and meant to be serious in their messages. Now, when they wrote Witches, which I believe they said took them 2 years to write, they delivered a message entirely of serious nature. There's no funny little quirky songs in this album. They are completely talking about a serious subject, which was the Salem witch trials. That is the entire basis for the album, and they had to deliver a note that was, more downtrodden and serious. And I think it went very well, to be perfectly honest with you. So now we're going to go through each and every song, and I'm going to talk about all the songs. So that leads us into our first song on the album. That is called Ember. It's 2 minutes and 32 seconds, and it starts you off with I believe, a reading from the preacher of Salem, Massachusetts at the time of the witch trials. And as soon as it gets done with that, it goes into this really heavy, intense opening, and it really kicks off the album with a serious punch. It's done very, very well, and it frankly just destroys. I love the prevailing theme of the song and for the rest of the album, which is "My soul's an ember in the flames of hell." I think they do that very well. I think they lace the entire album with it incredibly well. Moving on, our next song on the list was Prayer. And Prayer is a lot slower. It's not distorted guitars. It's more of an acoustic song. And I believe it was a prayer that they actually used at the time. I can't be quoted on that. I'm not entirely sure. I just believe it to be so. Very somber, very well thought of what the mindset of these people was at the time. They were scared. They were looking to God for their strength to kill these witches in their towns and villages. And that in itself was a tragic notion, that we had to turn to God to give us strength to murder. But it leads us into our next song. Moving on to the third song, Black in the Rye. Now, Black in the Rye is about one of the things that is thought to have caused the visions people were having during the Salem witch trials, which were hallucinations of people doing witchcraft and dark things. But that was caused by this black mold that was growing on their rye crops. And what it did was it had essentially the same effects as LSD. So, combined with hallucinations, what people really believed they saw people doing witchery, was a deadly combination for a God-fearing community such as that. And basically, they freaked out. And one of the lines in the song is, poison in the sky, black in the rye. People thought at the time that there was clouds of toxin in the sky, and it was caused by the devil, and it was influenced by these people that were witches. So all that caused everyone to freak out, and it didn't end well, very obviously. Moving right along, we have our next song on the list, called A Rope for Mary. Now, A Rope for Mary is... I really shouldn't have to explain what that's about, but it's talking about the hanging of some of these people during the witch trials. And I really don't have much to comment on that. It's a very tragic thing in our history, and it's something that really shouldn't be forgotten, is how people can go over the edge over something as ridiculous as witchcraft. Continuing on, we have More Weight. Got a lot heavier with this song, as Black in the Rye got pretty heavy. A Rope for Mary was a little more somber, as it should have been. But More Weight was a really heavy song, and I feel like it's supposed to give you a feel of defiance with it, because More Weight is about Giles Corey, who, instead of confessing to the crime of witchcraft, he refused to even make a confession of guilt or innocence. So what they did was they put stones on him and weighed him to death. Basically, they put more and more stones on him, trying to cause him pain. And for every time they asked him to confess, which was 3 times, every time he said, "More weight." And that was the last of his words. He was pressed to death. And that is a horrid way to go. But the song in itself showed the spirit of some of these people that were being accused of these crimes. Next up on our list is the song Remember. It's an instrumental interlude. There's no lyrics to break down. There's nothing in it. It's a very calming, peaceful in-between to the next song. There's not much to really talk about here, but it is a very nice song. Continuing on, our next song is Witch Hunt. And Witch Hunt brings into the fold a lot of the lies that were told about these people that were being hanged and pressed and tortured to death. Like, I saw her flying through the sky and things just ridiculous in nature. And it really brings in, again, the mindset of these people in the 1600s. How scared they were, all because of a little bit of witchcraft, because people were getting sick due to that black mold that was in their crops in Black in the Rye. People were hallucinating. Oh, it was the farmer down the street. These people were out to explain anything with witchcraft, and it was an absolute horror story for the people that were blamed. On to what I describe as the most somber song on the entire album. It is called Stillness. It's a longer song on this one. It's 5 minutes and 53 seconds. And the opening lines are, "Stillness, my feet are far from the ground." Yeah, the lady was hanged in this, or the person, I should say, was hanged in this. Very, very somber, depressing song. Very masterfully done. Yeah, actually, the first time I heard it, I could feel kind of the pain in the lyrics themselves. On to what is the longest song on the album now, which is Afflicted. They just released a music video for it recently. Very good music video, I should say. And in this song, they bring a lot of that old theme, the "My soul's an amber in the flames of hell," back into the fold. And this song just rocks. Plain and simple. This song is really, really good. And I highly recommend you go check out the music video. It's about 7 minutes long, the video itself. There's a lot of extra detail in it. But go check it out. Song number 10 on this album is Sorrow. It's a 51-second interlude that leads you into the last song on the disc. And it's very somber and melancholy, and it's a good segue to lead into this last part. Last but certainly not least, my favorite song on the album is The Ghost of Gallows Hill. It's not much shorter than Afflicted, but it is just as good, if not better. And it is the perfect cap for this album. It's outstanding. It's an outstanding song. And it just fits the rest of this album so well. The whole album was like put together like a puzzle, and it was outstandingly done. In conclusion, this album is beautiful. It is a masterpiece. That is my final thought. I give it a 10 out of 10. There was a point in time where I listened to this album exclusively in my car for about a month straight, because I guess I had nothing better to listen to. But I didn't want to listen to anything else. It hooks you in. It sucks you in. And it is just an outstanding album. It's one of my favorite that I've heard in 2015. And I highly recommend it to anybody who's not just a fan of One Eyed Doll, but who is a fan of good music in general. You know, the band took a big risk going away from their normal form to do this album, and it came off masterfully. And it does cover a very serious topic and a very serious point in American history, to which I asked Junior about when I saw them. And I was like, so why'd you go completely serious on this album? And he said it's something that should never be forgotten, because those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. And that was the point and thought process behind making this album, so we could help never forget that tragedy that happened in Salem, Massachusetts in the 1600s. And to that, I say, bravo, One Eyed Doll. Bravo, Junior. Bravo, Kimberly. You guys did an excellent job on this album, and I recommend it to anybody. Thanks for joining me today on Rock Reviews. I'm Corey Hanna. Sorry it took so long to do this video, but y'all rock. Thank you.